One cave in the Blue Mountains that I've always wanted to visit is Cox's Cave. Over the years, I've seen pictures of the metal ladder that leads you to the cave. It really looks like a magical area. But before I visit the cave, I want to learn more about its history and who discovered it. After spending countless hours researching online, I found there is no written evidence that actually names who found the cave. But there are a few suspects. The first is William Cox. He built the road over the Blue Mountains with the help of 30 convicts. It took only 6 months to complete, from July 1814 to January 1815. But I've read his journal of his day-to-day accounts while building the road, and he doesn't mention a cave in the Mount Piddington area, so that counts him out. The second suspect is what has been mentioned over the years of a bushranger using the cave for a hideout. But after scrolling through a list of known bushrangers in the area, no bushranger with the name Cox could be found. Now, the third and most probable suspect. While researching online, a name kept popping up, George Henry Cox. He was William Cox's grandson, and he did have a house at Mount Wilson called Beerwang. He was a pastoralist and a member of the New South Wales Legislative Council from 1863 to 1901, and I can see why he has been named as the one that found Cox's Cave, and here's why. Mount Piddington, where Cox's Cave is located, was named after William Richmond Piddington. He owned land in the area and built a grand house in 1876, which he named The Grange. He was also a member of the New South Wales Legislative Council from 1879 to 1887, so these two gentlemen must have known each other, and because Mount Wilson, where George Henry Cox lived, and Mount Piddington, where William Richmond Piddington lived, are not far away from each other, so they must have visited each other on occasions. Now, let's look at all the evidence that I've managed to find online. The earliest account of a trail down near where Cox's Cave is located is from an article in the Sydney Morning Herald from the 2nd of November 1872, the heading, A Trip to the Blue Mountains. The article explains about three men, Brown, Jones and Robinson, who lead the visitors from Mount Victoria to Mount Piddington for a walk. It soon mentions a trail that leads to a charming little grotto with a small waterfall and overhanging rock. This grotto is Fairy Bower, but no mention of a cave. In 1879, William Piddington had another trail made down to Fairy Bower by a Mr. Field, and Mr. Field was still looking after these trails well into the early 1900s. The next and best clue was found in the Pictorial Guide of the Blue Mountains of New South Wales from 1882. There is a map that mentions Fairy Bower, Fern Cave, Witch's Glen and also Cox's Cave. It has a description about Mount Victoria and it reads, a charming spot having a wealth of ferns and flowering plants scattered all around. A little further on, by taking the path to the left, Fern Cave is reached. Then, following down the path, tending south, the Fairy Bower is seen on the left. Here a fine stream of clear water rushes through the cleft in the rock, following into the basin below where a shower or plunge bath may be enjoyed. Continuing down the glen for some distance, the steps are reached, but at present they must not be descended. Take the path on the right along the edge of the cliff till a large wooden ladder is seen. Ascend this to Cox's Cave, named after its discoverer. That is the only written article that mentions that the cave was named after someone with the name Cox. The Railway Guide of 1886 also has a map that has Cox's Cave on it, but no mention of who it's named after. The only parish map that does have Cox's Cave on it is from 1889, but it just says Cave. So this is everything that I could find about Cox's Cave and trying to find out who it was named after. But no one really knows for sure if it really is named after George Henry Cox, or maybe his father, maybe his grandfather. No one really knows. There's nothing there that actually says George Henry Cox found Cox's Cave. But seeing him, William Piddington, were in the Parliament together, it has people pointing fingers towards him. So the only thing left to do is go and visit the magical Cox's Cave.
Going to climb the ladder up to Cox's Cave and then walk around to where the cave is. I'm puffing a bit because it's not easy getting up to this cave. It's really like a 45-degree angle. And wow, look how big it is. Awesome looking cave. up here. I wonder if there's bats that hide in here. There would be. Maybe microbats. It's huge. Awesome. They live in here if it was flat, but you can see here how it virtually just goes straight down like a big slippery dip, like you're at Luna Park on those rides, the old slippery dip rides. Wow, awesome! It's like an arch inside of the arch. Cool. What a great cave to come to. It's probably the biggest one I've been in the Blue Mountains other than Jenolan Caves.